So you're on a road trip from Marquette to Las Vegas, and the car that you're using you got from an old math teacher, and it tells you your velocity to give him time. And you're really anxious to get to Las Vegas, so you're speeding, but a cop sees you and pulls you over. But the cop writes you a ticket for speeding, but also he writes you a ticket for not pulling over in a timely manner. But you can prove the distance it took you to stop, and thus possibly get out of the second ticket. We are going to explore this problem in 3 ways. First with Geometry Sketchpad, then with a calculator, and then with a Lab Pro. Let's get started. Okay, so this is what we know. The velocity that you had when the police officer flashed his lights was 2.99 meters per second, and you noticed it took you 2 minutes to pull over. Thus you can get 2 points. Point A, which is 0, 2.9, and point B, which is 120, 0. Using your math skills, you find the equation of your velocity, which is y equals negative 3/120th x plus 2.99. Now let's graph it. Okay, so here's our velocity graph. So you can see we have our equation in there. And now we know that if we can calculate the area underneath our line, we will get the distance traveled in that time period. So, as you can see, we formed a triangle. And we know that the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. We have a base of 120 seconds and a height of 3. Thus, we can calculate the area to be 176.23 meters. Now let's explore this problem with a TI-83 calculator. So you have this program on your calculator in which you can input an equation, your starting and ending points, and it'll calculate the area underneath the curve for you. So let's run through it once before we explore it. You can use a Okay, as you can see, it gave us an answer of 178, and it displayed a graph for us that is very similar to the one we saw in Geometry Sketchpad. So let's look at the program. Essentially what the program says is you input your specific equation, you're going to store it somewhere, and you're going to input the starting point, store it somewhere, input the ending point, store it somewhere else, and then you're taking the integral of your equation in terms of x from A to B and storing it in C. Then you're displaying your answer C, pausing for a second, and then you're displaying the graph. And that's all the calculator is doing. As you can see, the answer was slightly different from the original that we got in Geometry Sketchpad, but it's extremely close. Now let's look at how we can do this with Lab Pro.
Hey, we're gonna show this class how to do the quad song. All you gotta do is just flex on these students.
Mr. Winner,
watch a song.
Dr. Murph.
South Beat of school where we like to do the dance. Flex to the left, get some pencils in your hands. We do it for our school and we do it for the grades. But to solve these quad, well, you gotta do the dance. Everybody do the quad song. 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 Everybody listen, pay attention class. We're about to solve quads so that y'all can pass. We'll teach you 3 methods, X is what we're after. Start off first, watch.
Teach me how to factor.
I'm trying to tell them, y'all got to try this. If factor won't work for you.
So this is the data that was collected with the help of some friends. As you can see, it's not exactly the same as before. You know, the curve's not as straight as we like with all the red points being not in a straight line. But if you do the line of best fit, you can see that the line still creates a triangle and the height is still 3 and the base is still 120. So thus we're going to get about 176 as our distance traveled. So now you have 3 ways to explain to the judge how long it took you to stop and that it's in a reasonable time. And maybe the judge will be nice and let you off with a warning for not pulling over in a reasonable amount of time.
I'm Mr. Winner, growing up on a tractor. You know I'm from Greenville, but I teach you how to factor. Step up in my class and all the students hear me. If you got 3 terms and a plus in the back, I hear the class screaming like